What is up, guys? I cover Spilt Milk here. It's a bit late, but I'm doing my F1 2022 season prediction first video. I thought, well, wait till the first race and see, help that make my decision making, because that's when there's no sandbagging. We're truly seeing what the actual what the cars are really like and what the drivers are like. So I'm going to go run down my the 20 drivers and just put them in order on what I think. So, starting in 20th and last place, I've put Nicholas Latifi of Williams. From testing on the first Grand Prix, it's been hard to decipher who the backmarker team is, but what is clear is that Alfa Romeo and Haas have improved tremendously, and I would say Williams is the slowest car now. But I think it's very competitive. I think it'll swing between Williams and Aston Martin, but more than not, I reckon it'll be Williams will be the slowest team. So between Latifi and Albon, I believe it'd be Latifi will struggle more, as I think he's more in the seat due to the money he brings rather than the talent. But he is talented, but I think compared to Albon, Latifi's not as talented compared to Albon. I think Latifi, now that they've got the I forgot what it's called now, the new sponsorship Williams, I think Latifi might find himself out of the seat soon, and they might go for a Mercedes young gun like Russell was. Next up in 19th place, I put the other pay driver, Lance Stroll of Aston Martin. Another team who's had a tough off season, Aston Martin, and I think in particular Stroll will struggle, a far cry from his pole position in Turkey 2020. Anyway, let's not beat about the bush. Yes, Stroll does have talent, but I think also having a father in the right place as the team owner is partly the reason why he's still on the grid. I think a common theme we'll find for 2022 is that with the cars being more competitive and being able to follow one another, I think the drivers with the most talent will rise to the top, and pay drivers are really sharp. So you could be in a really good car, but because the whole field is more competitive, I think we will really see who the best drivers are and who are not. In 18th place, I put Guanyu Zhou of Alfa Romeo. He's the only rookie on the grid for 2022. The only reason I put him this low is because we don't have enough data on him to know what he's really like and how he stacks up against the other drivers. However, I'm sure he'll beat Stroll and Latifi. But I reckon he'll be in a season-long battle with Tsunoda, Alexander Albon and Mick Schumacher. But I've only put him at the bottom of this trio. This four stack, because, well, as I said before, we don't know much about Guanyu Zhou and what he's like and how he will compare to these other drivers that I've just described. So in 17th place is one of these drivers I just described, Alexander Albon of Williams. As I mentioned before, I believe Williams will be the team finding themselves at the bottom of the constructors of 2022. So unsurprisingly, Albon is not high on my rating due to this. As I mentioned before, I think Stroll and Latifi will be on the back row for 2022, with Albon, Zhou, Schumacher and Tsunoda just before the back markers. This is a crucial season for Albon. He doesn't want to have another season on the sidelines. So I think the expectation is if he can be the top of that four stack of Zhou, Tsunoda, and what was the other driver I said, Mick Schumacher, I think you can see this is a good season and a season for to build on and perhaps progress further on, up the field maybe. In number 16, I've put Yuki Tsunoda of Alpha Tauri. It's hard to know exactly where Alpha Tauri is in the pecking order. As always, Gasly has been outperforming the car for many seasons, and Tsunoda just can't get to grips with it, so it's harder to know with this contrast driver what Alpha Tauri is really like. But I can be proven wrong, and Tsunoda could have a good season. Listening to other teams, in particular Alpine, they say if Gasly had a teammate that was similar to him to back him up, Alpine might not have finished ahead of AlphaTauri last season. So I think that speaks for itself. Basically, I think Yuki needs to have a good season. I can't see anyone else at the moment in the Red Bull Red Bull family coming up the field that's ready for a seat yet. So I think Yuki Tsunoda might have a mulligan for a couple of seasons, and who knows? Alpha might want to replace him with someone else. To give him a chance, someone who might be good in the future, someone like maybe even far-fetched like Mick Schumacher or Albon, maybe. If they might think, Albon's certainly upped his game, let's have him back. Or maybe even someone like Guan Yu Zhou, depending on how he gets on. In number 15, I've popped Mick Schumacher of Haas. I will say Haas has certainly moved up a few gears of 2022, but I think it'll be Magnussen leading the charge. Schumacher always has a better second season in every category he's been in, and I think Schumacher will certainly beat 19th place from last season and get a few points this season. Depends on how Schumacher gets on. I might move him ahead of Vettel and the Alpine drivers, but let's see how he gets on for now. In 14th place, I've put Sebastian Vettel of Aston Martin. Before I go any further, I just want to wish Vettel gets well soon from COVID. He's been replaced by Nico Hulkenberg for this weekend at Bahrain. So I just want to say, hope he gets back in the car soon, and so on. The only reason why I put Vettel at number 14 and so high is that because he's a multiple world champion, but I think his reputation will soon catch up to him. It's been almost a decade since Vettel has won a title. I rate Aston as the 9th best car in the field, so unfortunately I made the early prediction that Vettel will rate lower in my mid-season video, but I just want to see how Vettel matches up with the battle with Zhou, Schumacher, and Albon and Schumacher. Okay, so moving on to the next battle, I'm going to move on to the. We've established who the back markers will be, so we're now going to move on to the lower midfield. I believe that will be the Alpines, Magnussen, Bottas, and Vettel. I believe these drivers do expect for the fight for the lower points finishes and the occasional podium. Alonso and Ocon were very closely matched last season, and I think they'll find themselves on the same patch of tarmac as Bottas and Magnussen, carrying their respective teams. A race winner last season, I think the goal for Ocon is to beat his teammate and Magnussen, Bottas, and to target to mix up with Ricciardo and Gasly. In 12th place, a popular comeback for Kevin Magnussen, driving for Haas this season. I don't know what K-Mag was doing on the season off, but it's certainly done wonders for him, and I think Haas made a good decision to bring K-Mag back. Let's not forget, on K-Mag's debut, he finished second, beating experienced teammate Jenson Button to the pinch. The Haas is certainly a better car this season compared to last season. I think it's going to be in the lower midfield battle with the Alfa Romeo and the Alpines, but possibly might trouble the McLarens and the Alfa Tauris. Certainly, I think Magnussen might be able to be in the same ballpark as McLaren and Alfa Tauris, but I don't think. It depends on how Mick Schumacher gets on. They might be able to back him up and perhaps beat one of the Alfa Tauris or the McLarens. But that's the exciting bit, is to see it's not done on stats, it's done about what's done on that black tarmac out there. Moving on to 11th place, I've put Valtteri Bottas in the Alfa Romeo. Let's not beat about the bush here. Alfa is certainly a downgrade compared to the Mercedes that Bottas has been enjoying the last few seasons, but Bottas will certainly be wanting to prove he's still worthy of that Mercedes seat. He may be invited back when Hamilton retires, for example. Let's also remember Bottas is half the reason for Mercedes' dominance recently. As I mentioned, I think Bottas will be in a exciting rivalry with fellow Scandinavian Kevin Magnussen and the Alpine drivers, and perhaps Gasly as well. And I'm excited to see how this goes. And now we'll move on to the top 10, and let's dish out some points early on the season. So, at number 10, I've got Pierre Gasly of Alpha Tauri. As we all know, Gasly is a great qualifier and is certainly carrying the team. Gasly's hoping to have another good season, but for me, I think Gasly, he needs to set his sights on moving away from the Red Bull family to progress his career. I think Perez and Verstappen will be Red Bull's lineup for the next few years, so I can't see him breaking through there. Perez is currently being the perfect support role for Verstappen, especially at the end of last season. I predict Gasly will be a regular points finisher this season again, and certainly grab a few podiums. In ninth place, I have Fernando Alonso of Alpine. Like the same case with Vettel. Being a multiple world champion helped me decide to put Alonso currently at the top of his lower midfield group. Alonso is certainly getting more out the car compared to Ocon at the moment, and I think we'll see an exciting scrap between the Alpines and the Scandinavian drivers for the lower points finishes. In position 8, we're now moving on to the upper midfield group, so the next set of four drivers, I believe. That will be the McLarens, Russell and Sergio Perez. And in position 8, I put out those four Daniel Ricciardo. Apart from the win last season, it'd be very fair to say Ricciardo had a tough 2021, and it looks like he'll be in a tough 2022 season. This is why I put him at the bottom of his group. I expect all these, the four guys I mentioned, to be getting a few podiums between them. Both McLarens don't look fast at the moment, but I think they will come back later in the season, and if not this season, certainly will be in the hunt for 2023. Next up, in 7th place, I've got Lando Norris of McLaren. Norris came of age last season, mixing it up at the front and holding on to third position in the Drivers' Championship for such a long time. Before the McLaren car failed both drivers towards the end of the season. It was agonising not to see Norris scores made them win that season last year. Most notably at Italy and Russia. And unless McLaren up their game soon, I think Norris will be waiting yet another season to grab his first win. But we can definitely say Norris is the better McLaren driver at the moment. So next up, it's going to be either Russell or Perez. I've put Russell of Mercedes in 6th place. Like when Sainz joined Ferrari in 2020, Russell may be annoyed that he joined Mercedes at the wrong time. I put Mercedes as the third fastest car behind the Red Bull and Ferrari. However, in Russell's case, the Mercedes is a better car compared to the Williams he's been driving for the last few seasons. And like Sainz, I'm sure Russell will hold on, knowing Mercedes will be, like Ferrari are now, at the top of the pile before too long. So I think Russell will have be battling with the McLarens once they get good. But for the beginning of the season, I think he'll be trying to get one over Perez, and then he'll be in for I think he can certainly say it's been a good, first season at Mercedes. In 5th place, I put, I'm not going to beat about the bush, but it's going to be Sergio Perez, as you probably can guess, of Red Bull. The reason why I put Perez higher than Russell is because Perez has had a season of experience at a top level team, and I think Perez will edge out Russell and help Verstappen beat the Ferraris, holding them up. While Ferrari's made a pit stop, he'll try and hold them up and slow them down to help Verstappen get the win, really, and so on. Moving on to the top four, so it's the Ferraris, Hamilton and Verstappen. Who am I going to put at number 4? Number 4, I'm going to put Carlos Sainz of Ferrari. So onto the top 4 drivers, and I believe anyone here or higher will be a winner this season, and the champion will be one of these 4 drivers. For 4th place, I put Sainz. I'm sure Ferrari will focus on Leclerc. If Ferrari have a punt at the Drivers' Championship, which will be unfortunately to the detriment of Sainz. Will Sainz be a faithful number 2 to Leclerc, or will Sainz beat Leclerc like he did in 2021? Who knows? This is the first proper chance I think Ferrari have winning the Drivers' Championship since 2007. So it's been 15 years of hurt. So I'm sure Ferrari will do all they can to help the driver that gets the best off to the best starts. That can, whether it be Sainz or Leclerc, I think they don't care. It's been 15 years since the Drivers' Championship has come back to Maranello, so I think they were eager to, whoever does it, they'll back. So on to the top three, onto the podium here. In third place, will it be Leclerc, will it be Verstappen, or will it be Hamilton? In third place, I've got Lewis Hamilton of Mercedes. Mercedes will struggle in the first part of the season, and unfortunately I think the Red Bulls and Ferraris will be too far ahead to claw back once Mercedes do fix out their problems to their car. I think this might be wise for Mercedes to start thinking about 2023 already. Hamilton will have a few wins this season though, once Mercedes gets his act together, and I believe he'll be fighting whoever turns out to be the second Ferrari driver, the one that the secondary Ferrari driver for third place in 2022. So moving on to the top two, who will be the top one and who will be runner up? Oh, shall I put you out your misery? Go on then, I might as well. In second place, I put Charles Leclerc of Ferrari. After a couple of pole positions last season, I think Ferrari now have the race pace to match. And I think Leclerc will be Verstappen's greatest rival this season. I'm really excited to see these two young guns fight it out and perhaps give us an insight as to what we're going to be seeing for the rest of the 2020s and into the 2030s perhaps. I reckon it'll be, I've always said I think it's going to be Leclerc and Verstappen. Could be other drivers like Piastri, perhaps even Mick Schumacher, or perhaps another young gun who's perhaps not even in Formula 3 or Formula 2 yet. To show us who will be at the end of 2020s and into 2030s, who will be the top driver. So I'm just going to go straight into it. Number one, Max Verstappen of Red Bull. I still think Max Verstappen's the man to beat. And he's also got a solid backup in Perez as well. So he, dependable backup, I should say. So he knows if there's an opportunity for Perez to hold, he can count on Perez to help him. To get ahead of Hamilton and the two Ferraris. I certainly think Verstappen will be one of the top two drivers who will either be the champion or the runner-up, but see how we get on. I can't see, Verstappen will be, as I said, he'll be at least first or second in the championship. That's what I thought, but tell me what you think. As I said before, this is my video, so put into the comments what you think, and then join me in the middle of 2022 during the half-term break, when it's halfway through the season, for my mid-season video, and we'll see if there's any changes between now and then. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe. Thank you.